Thanks to BetterHelp and DraftKings Pick6 for sponsoring this video.
We've got a pretty full 24 hours in front of us.
Yes, sir. I think we're going to be really full by the time we're done tonight.
We can do all that today.
This is South Texas, baby. Boom! He's a fast learner.
It's a flippity flips.
Flippity flips.
We might have to keep drinking while we're cooking, Arnie.
I'm okay with that.
You know I've never made a homemade salsa?
Really? You're going to be really delighted. But you've never had that before.
That should be illegal.
We're almost ready for fajita time.
Dude, how are you still going?
This is what I do, man.
Flippity flip.
Vámonos, flippity flip, baby.
If you guys know Arnie Segovia, ArnieTex on YouTube, you're in for a treat. If you don't know who Arnie is yet, you're also in for a treat because you're about to meet one of the most beloved men in cooking on YouTube. And the most common comments on his channel, other than, boy, Arnie, that looks great, is, I wish I could come to your backyard, have a beer, and cook with you. Well, guess what? You're gonna be a little jealous. I got the best job in the world. I get to spend the next 24 hours trying to keep up with Arnie Segovia. Let's head in.
Hey, what's up, Al? Come on in, man. I'm glad you made it, bro.
Good to see you. Thanks for inviting me down here.
Hey, thanks for coming all the way down here to hang out with little old me. We got a lot to do out. We're gonna cook a lot. We're gonna talk a lot. We're gonna have some fun. But before we get to work, I'm gonna take you to an amazing place.
You don't have to ask me twice, Arnie.
Vámonos. Let's go.
So this is your butcher, huh?
Yes, sir. This is our go-to meat market.
All right, let's see what we're getting.
Let's see what we got. Let's get our veggie stuff first for salsa. We're gonna need about 7 tomatillos. Try to get the biggest ones. I'm gonna grab some jalapenos. I like to get the bigger ones.
That's what she said.
All right, tomatillos, jalapenos. I'm gonna get some serranos. We like to use Roma tomatoes.
Roma?
Pick me out about 12 of those.
So here's something I don't get in North Carolina. You don't see napolitos in the grocery stores.
Well, today you're gonna get to try them. Put them in the car.
We throw some of these on the grill, maybe?
Let's do it, yeah. Now I know you like habaneros. You wanna try a couple of those?
All right. Old chef's trick. Get like 3 of them. All right.
Now with limes, you try to find the ones that are smooth. Those are the juicy ones.
Any of the regular onions or garlic or anything?
Yep, onions, just for safety.
Sure.
And we do use a lot of garlic.
All right, this one will work.
Al, I think you ought to try these seasonings.
Should we get these Malcolm Reed or Matt Pittman ones?
We'll get whatever you want, but I think these are the typical South Texas flavor profile that you have not experienced. So
yes. Which one should we do? Boom?
We do Boom, Wow, and OG.
And OG?
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
And part of the South Texas tradition is sausage, so let's grab a couple of sausages here. Chorizo San Manuel, this is a cilantro sausage that's really good.
Okay.
And then they have a traditional jalapeno cheese, so let's take a couple of these.
All right, there's a lot of meat. This might be the biggest meat counter
that you've ever seen. This is South Texas, baby.
So these are sirloin fajitas?
These are called sirloin fajitas. They're the bavette, actually.
Oh, it's a bavette. So you use these rather than using a skirt?
90% of the time I cook those, but I always like to throw one strip of the regular inside skirt as well.
Okay.
Because we can't usually find outside skirts, which are a lot more tender. But I like to throw one of those in there anyway, just because it's tradition. One strip of regular fajitas here.
Yes, sir.
Yee-hoo. Man, that's good stuff right there.
That's pretty.
Awesome, awesome.
So this is what you were telling me about.
Yeah, this is actually the dino rib right here.
Right.
Cut in just across the bone.
I've never seen that before.
Really? That's wild.
Thank you very much.
I like to get 2 whole chickens and 2 pounds of boneless chicken thighs. I think we're gonna be really full by the time we're done tonight. Yeah.
We're cooking all of this today, Eddie.
Today.
Hey,
all of it.
the way we do it down here.
That's it. We go all out, right, Eddie? Let's get fired up.
You're serious, dude. All of this for today.
The way we roll, man. Growing up was in West Texas. We lived on a farming, ranching operation. It was about a 7,000 acre operation, and my dad was the foreman. So they would work hard, and they played hard too, you know, whenever there was some kind of special event. It was like a 3-day party. They'd bring a winch truck, bring a cow, they'd pull it up, they'd field dress it, and the party was on for the next 2 or 3 days. You know, as I got older, we moved to the valley here, and so all of my mom's family used to come over to the ranch, and they'd have all these big barbecues and parties. And when they weren't partying, my friends would come over, and we'd cook out there sometime. And sometimes we'd just go out drinking and have fun, or we'd go somewhere else and burn some meat. So that's kind of when I started to cook a little bit, not a whole lot, but I was always around the kitchen when my mom and my grandma were there. Before that, even when I was younger at my grandma's house, she'd be making a pile of corn tortillas fresh, and I'd like just wait till she had a little pile so she wouldn't get mad. And I would take 1 or 3, put a little butter, a little salt, roll them up and eat them. They were so good. But I started to cook, honestly, a lot more when I got married. We bought a mobile home. One of my uncles gifted me and Terry just like a little tabletop grill. So I started to cook fajitas, and hamburgers. We had neighbors and I'd cook for them and they'd come over. Everybody always loved what I made.
It's just always been a family affair kind of thing with us. That's what kept our family together, and everybody that knew us knew that, hey, if you go to Segovia's, it's always something to eat out there. Arnie's always cooking something.
Do you have any idea how cool it is that I'm on the ArnieTex set? Like I'm on the patio.
You're here.
I know you do this every day, Arnie,
All the
but
time.
this is cool, and welcome to Arnie's patio. We're gonna cook together.
We're gonna cook. I've been experimenting a little bit with a margarita marinade. I love to make marinades for fajitas. I like a nice little tart flavor, and
Okay.
I like margaritas too.
So margarita as a marinade.
As a marinade. This is actually a mezcal. To me, it's got a nice balance. It's not too smoky, it's just good. But I thought since we're gonna grill the meat, it would add that extra little smoky flavor.
I love it.
If you like it, we'll run with it. If not, I'll go back and get some other kind of thing.
I mean, for you, I will take a taste, Arnie.
All right, let's do it. Cheers, Al.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming to South Texas, Papa.
To flippity flips.
Flippity flips.
Oh, that's nice. It's not
That's
too
a
smoky.
nice mezcal. It's smooth.
Are you developing this marinade for a video?
Absolutely, yes. The idea is once I perfect it, this is something I do with all my videos. I make sure I cook everything once, twice, sometimes 3 times. I want to be able to share with my audience something that they can go duplicate and get a good eating experience as well.
So this might end up being the final recipe, or it might end up
It
just
might.
being one experiment along the way.
Yeah.
So I release Saturday, you release on Sundays. Maybe we get the same
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah,
All
that'd
right, tune in tomorrow. Actually, I'll put a link right here. Show them where the link's going to
Over
go.
here?
Oh, it's going to go over here?
Or over here.
Yeah.
It might be down here. I don't know.
somewhere.
But
Yeah,
we'll have a
we'll
link
put it
somewhere,
somewhere.
at least in the description.
Right. You guys can watch that video after you're done watching this one, but I can't wait to see how
I'm gonna see what you think about it because I know you're a foodie and an excellent cook yourself. I'm gonna have you slice 3 limes.
Okay.
One of the ways that I like to soften it up.
Yep.
Do that little roll. I guess you knew that already.
Yep. And you're going to do onion?
And I'm just gonna do half of an onion. Make some slices or julienne or whatever they call that. I'm not a chef, so ain't no right way, ain't no wrong way. And we're using the basic margarita ingredients. Now, margaritas are made 1,000 different ways, right? There's pickle margarita, there's every kind of margarita, right?
But those aren't real.
I would have to agree with you.
Okay.
I have to agree with you. It's not the original. We're gonna use about a half a cup of mezcal. You can use tequila, whatever your favorite blanco is.
You're actually measuring it.
Yes. Take some Controy, about 3/4 of a cup, almost a whole cup.
All right.
Half a cup of orange juice, and the limes. I like to catch some of the pulp as well. I think the pulp really works at helping marinate and soften the meat. I'm gonna add some salt, pepper, and garlic.
Okay.
Obviously, it's a meat, right? It's
Right.
protein, so we gotta have a little salt. So we're using 2 tablespoons of OG. We picked this up over there, and we heard it was
Yes.
pretty good. So
Good.
shameless plug for me. Now this is
Wow?
wow.
Okay.
This was originally designed for steaks and fajitas, so it has some ingredients in there that are very savory, really make the flavor pop, and people just love this stuff. Try to get that salt to dissolve. There's a little bit of garlic and onion and some other good flavors.
Some other
in there,
good
like I
stuff in
said.
there. All right.
And this is basically our marinade. We're gonna add 1 cup water,
Okay.
and I did need 1 tablespoon vinegar. And that's it, man. And those onions are gonna go into the tray when we put the meat and the marinade together.
Okay. Speaking of meat.
Let's cook some fajitas. These generally come pretty trimmed, but sometimes on the backside there's a little extra fat there. This is a bavette. Down here it's called sirloin fajitas. Depending on what part of the country you're in or what part of Mexico you're in, some people call these rancheras, which means it's the ranch cut, and some call them arracheras. So when I had the restaurant, some of my employees came from different parts of Mexico. Sometimes even something simple, what we think is an enchilada, right? They're like, no, that's not the way you do enchiladas. They're like this. It's just the same dish, but everybody's got a different recipe for it.
Right.
I guess depende de qué rancho vienes, which means depends on what ranch you come from. Because there's so many different regions and cultures and recipes in Mexico. There's a lot of stuff, the Tex-Mex, that's good, but ours was a little bit more true to Mexico because our employees came from over there.
All right, let me just get this membrane here.
Yeah, that's a really nice job you did there. So I'm gonna lay this on top of there. And since this is too long, I'm gonna fold it over. We're gonna let that stay there. Because we're gonna do a competition trick. This is a jacquard. They wanna try and get all that flavor and marinade into the meat. So I like to just basically go all the way across a couple of times.
All right,
I'll let you flip the whole thing over.
Flippity flip.
Flippity flip, there you go. You're a fast learner, dude.
Well, it's not like I haven't been watching your channel for years.
Time.
Boom. All right.
Okay, let's get those in the marinade, and then we've got one more strip of inside skirt.
This is the inside, so it's gonna be a little tougher and a lot more marbled,
Yes.
which I like, by the way. I don't know
I like
about
them
you.
a little bit firm, the outside tender.
Right.
But this has a better flavor even than the bavette, in my opinion. Let me just drop a couple of little onions down here.
Okay.
And a little bit of the marinade on the bottom, just enough to get it wet. Lay one first,
Yep.
about halfway, so I can drizzle a little bit of marinade up here. I'm not gonna bathe you, I promise.
That's okay. I brought an extra shirt or
Yeehaw.
6.
I have some too. It might fit you.
Well, maybe 2 of them, one for each arm.
All right, we'll put a little bit more. Can you smell the mezcal?
I
It
can.
smells like a margarita. It does.
It does
doesn't
smell like a margarita.
All right,
We
we'll
might
save a
have to
little
keep
bit.
drinking while we're cooking, Arnie.
That's kind
This
of.
could be a totally different video if you and I.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, it's the whole. Can I keep up with Arnie for 24 hours?
That's
I think
right,
the
man.
answer is going to be
That's
no
right.
if the
I think we
mezcal
need to
comes
order a
out.
case of beer. What do you think?
I could drink a beer with Arnie in the backyard.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, now let's see your jacquarding skills.
right,
Let's
we
see if
got
you
it.
got it figured out. He's a fast learner. Look at that.
I'm going to go both sides. I usually do, especially since we got a little membrane over here.
Yeah. And I
All right.
forgot to trim that one. But you know, another thing I've learned is if you jacquard it first, the membrane practically peels right off. But we're gonna marinate this for anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. And in another hour and a half or 2, we're gonna come and flip it all over so that this top piece of meat gets as much love from the marinade as the bottom piece of meat.
Okay.
I think everybody that cooks has that little fantasy, that dream of like owning your own place. I was always cooking, and everybody said, you should open a restaurant. Your food's so good, it's so amazing.
Especially now in like this pop-up era of social media, like if you're a good cook, they're like, hey, you should open a food truck. Hey, you should open a restaurant. And it's like, yeah, you know what, I am a good cook. That's kind of like where I think some of the seeds are planted, right? But I also have these very distinct memories, like going across the border to Mexico, right here, Reynosa, just south of McAllen, and we'd go eat cabrito, and it's such an experience there with the way you're treated when you get there, the way the waiters serve you. Those restaurants also just had these like really great type of like hospitality experiences before hospitality was this restaurant group type of North Star. This was just like the way our culture was down here. I think Arnie was interested in that spirit, and it kind of grew over time to where when the opportunity presented itself, he decided to take a jump.
The opportunity came up. We bought a restaurant from my wife's brother-in-law, and it was a turnkey business.
He told me after he bought it. I thought it was a good idea, but I did tell him I thought it was going to be a lot of work, but he was happy with it. That's what he wanted to do, you know, and everybody liked the food. And there was people that loved the beans because he put little pieces of brisket in there.
It was the most fun I ever had working. I really, really enjoyed the whole restaurant experience. I loved being in the kitchen with the cooks. We added barbecue to it. We started with barbecue chicken. And so we started with ribs and people liked them. And then we added brisket.
He had a lot of people that loved his food. My coworkers, my friends, like we went to Arnie's, it's so good. I can't believe your brother's restaurant is so awesome. And we love the dinosaur ribs and the rice and beans. He loved it, and he was out there doing his thing.
He and Terry dedicated themselves totally to that restaurant, you know, and Arnie's always been the type that he takes pride in what he does. So it was important to him that his business be successful. The people that would go to his restaurant, it would show because a lot of them were returning customers.
I think the restaurant was definitely a way for Arnie to kind of take that community eating experience and just reach more people. He loved the aspect of kind of like showing up, you know, talking to all of the people that are coming in there, starting to know their orders, remembering their names. He also loved hosting his family there. I remember on many occasions, it's like Sunday after church, you know, we got like 20 people on a table and food is just coming and coming and coming. He loved doing that.
I really had a great time, but I also learned that when you're a little mom and pop place, you don't own the restaurant. The restaurant basically owns you.
I think the cafe helped him understand that he could do this, that he could do the cooking thing. I think he wasn't afraid anymore to throw his hat in the ring and say, man, I can do this.
But we bought it in April. The world crashed in May, literally a month after we bought the restaurant. We still had a really fantastic 2008, but when Lent came in 2009, it literally seemed like somebody put roadblocks on the street.
So what's our next stop?
We're headed over to El Pocito. They've been making gorditas, tortillas, and delicious food for over 100 years in downtown McAllen.
Wow.
And when I was a kid, we used to go have lunch there. Back then, man, I was 18, 20 years old. There was like this little steps that would go down into a cellar, sort of like.
Right.
And that was the restaurant. And that's where the name El Pocito came from, the little hole. This place does the fresh nixtamalized corn the way the Aztecs were doing it, I don't know, thousands of years ago, Al?
All right, I can't
Let's
wait to see
go.
this. Oh, wow, check this out. I had no idea we were going to see anything like this.
Listo para unas gorditas, bien deliciosas y recién hechas, ¿verdad? Son las mejores del valle.
Tenemos 45 años de estar viniendo aquí.
¿A poco?
Que casi de que abrieron allá.
Allá estaban, ¿se acuerdan cuando estaba el pozo abajo? Es lo que le venía explicando aquí a mi amigo. They've been coming here for 45 years.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Like me.
The food and the gordita, tortillas, y aceite.
They're the best, right? And there's the flour tortillas
Watching 'em.
too. We'll get some of those too, so you guys
Okay.
can try them.
All
They're
right.
awesome, man.
And they're rolling it all by hand. There's no tortilla press in here.
Oh yeah, they do it by hand. Oh yeah, there you go.
Arnie, what's going on here?
You have to soak the corn in water and lye
Before they grind it up.
before they grind it. Yeah, that softens up the exterior of the kernel
Okay.
and makes it easier to grind, because if not, it gets like mealy.
Right.
But this way, it's smoother, easier to work. It doesn't get any fresher than that.
Sir, can I get a picture with you?
Sure,
Because
of
my
course.
husband watches all your videos.
Hello, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Oh man, good. I'm glad. You like it?
Thank you very much.
It's good for everything. It's an all-purpose too. It's a little spicier, has more pepper.
There we go. That's a good one.
Awesome. Bien.
Me?
Una, dos, tres. Boom!
All right, let's go.
Vámonos! We got gorditas. Vámonos!
Soaring gas prices, falling home prices, and rising unemployment.
What kind of recipe is that? Overall, that's a recipe for a recession.
In 2009 was really tough, but we were still having a good time doing what we love to do. We finally lost enough money where I said, okay, I'm done. And in June, I decided to put it up for sale.
When you finally had to make that decision,
Yeah.
I'm not selling on a high, this isn't a success, I'm gonna lick my wounds.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was that like?
It was tough, man, really tough, because, you know, I've always been really a hard worker. I've had a really strong work ethic. I had been very successful in the car business, which was my career before that. And I like to be number one in everything I do. And so to lose the restaurant, at a tough time like that, and we were going through some other things in our marriage and stuff, so it was kind of a double whammy, you know. And my dad passed away, and so that was going on. 30 days later, my grandfather passed away. That was going on. So it was just like this whole whirlwind of stuff, right?
I thought it was sad because I know he loved it. I think it hurt him a lot in a way that he was not going to keep it any longer.
He went through a tough time, but he always has bounced back. He's always been driven, super totally driven, you know.
When you throw a cat up in the air, they're gonna land on their feet, right? That guy is the same thing. If there's one thing I know about Arnie, and I've said it time and time again, he's the hardest working dude I know.
I think the biggest thing is the ego, you know, and you've experienced it yourself. When you're successful and you're good at what you do, and I had a really good relationship with my banker, and so, I mean, I was used to going in and saying, hey, I need 50 grand. He'd tell the secretary, go write the check, you know, while I drop the paperwork. And so I was very proud of that, very proud. And to lose that, it's tough. It's tough. So, so when you did Miguel's story, I could relate. Yeah. It's tough.
So nobody saw that, Arnie. Your mother, your siblings, your children, they saw a strong man who works hard, not let it affect him, and just make a pivot. How did you hide those feelings?
I guess a lot of my sales training, you know, the PMA, which you're a big company man, right? Positive mental attitude, right? I read a lot of books about stuff like that. So when I jump into things, I'm all in, I'm 100%. And people don't really know or realize that I'm kind of an introverted guy in a way, but the sales part of it brought out a different person in me.
So do you think that stiff upper lip, was that the example you wanted to set for your kids? Or were you just too proud to let them see how you were really feeling?
I think it's more like not even a pride or a stiff upper lip thing. It's more about survival, you know. Your brain goes into survival mode. Okay, what's the next step?
I just want to pause here for a second. What Arnie just shared, I have a lot of respect for him for going through that and for surviving it. Not just the business loss, not just the pride hit, but everything stacked on top of it. A lot of people never talk about that part. One thing that happens with this show is people come up to me, or they send me messages and they say, hey Al, I see myself in that. They say it about Miguel. They say it about Bill the Sausage Sensei. They see someone carrying more than they let on and just trying to keep moving forward. And I think that's something a lot of us relate to. How heavy it gets when you carry these things alone. Because they also tell me how important it is that I keep showing the hard stuff like this. Because nobody talks about it. So here's my message to you. You're not weak for feeling it. You're not broken for needing to talk, and you don't have to do it all by yourself. Therapy isn't about fixing who you are, it's about having support while you're figuring things out. And nowadays, there's no stigma attached to seeing a therapist. I'm not afraid to admit that I talked to one. Now, this matters enough to me that I've been sponsored by BetterHelp multiple times, including them sponsoring this episode. To help get that message out, BetterHelp makes it easier to get started with therapy. You just fill out a questionnaire, and they match you with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. And my viewers can get 10% off their first month by going to betterhelp.com/behindthefood. Honestly, whether you use BetterHelp or find a therapist another way, I really hope you find somebody to talk to. You deserve that support. All right, enough of the serious stuff. Let's get back to the fun.
Let's get fired up. Now the fun starts. I told you we were going to be here 24 hours.
Yeah. It's been a long day already, and we're just getting started
We're
cooking.
Just getting the fire going, and it's already dark. So I like to use this mesquite charcoal, lump charcoal.
Are we going to be using mesquite wood too,
We're
since
also
we're in
put
South
mesquite wood.
Texas?
Yeah, buddy, we're in South Texas. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now I have to bring the big gun out. Come on. The thing about mesquite lump charcoal, if you don't get this stuff hot enough and halfway lit, then it gets that sort of a sooty flavor because it's just charcoal, right? That'll burn down in about 30 minutes or so. We'll be cooking. First up, Al, salsa.
Second up, salsa.
Second?
First up,
Oh, another cerveza. Another cerveza. Cheers.
cheers.
Salud.
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 All right, now salsa.
Ah, that's good stuff, man. One of the first things I like to do is clean my grill with an onion.
Okay.
You know, and I like to score the surface like this. Then it gets like a little bit into the cracks, and some of it falls off into the fire, and it just adds a really great aroma.
You have a specially designed onion holder for cleaning
One
your
of my
grill.
friend makes these.
Okay.
And we just kind of wipe it a couple times this way, and then we're gonna go the other way. But see how it leaves the grill real nice and clean. If you'll turn that a little bit, then we'll just drop this in there and let it aromatize the whole neighborhood here. Cool, good. There it is. So we've got some garlic on the skewer so it doesn't fall inside the fire. So we're just gonna kind of lay that down right over here where it's not super, super hot. Garlic cooks really quick. It's hotter over here. I like to take some nopales. These are nopal paddles, they call them.
Yeah, those are the ones that we just picked up.
We just picked them up this morning. We're gonna roast a couple of tomatoes and a couple of tomatillos. I like a blend of tomatillos and tomatoes.
Right.
Tomatoes love to dance with the heat. We're gonna slightly roast a couple of habaneros.
Okay.
A couple of jalapenos, and a couple of serranos.
Do you have enough beer in the fridge for us to have a salsa this spicy?
I do believe so.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can you work one-handed?
I sure can.
All right.
I've got a little bit of experience doing that. So you got to work fast sometimes, but at the same time, you want to make sure everything cooks nice and even. All right, so we're going to flippity-flip that one. They've got a lot of moisture in there.
That looks good, yeah. So I saw your cabrito video a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Was the fire this hot?
No.
Okay.
No, cabrito's another one of those low and slow. But there's that saying that a friend of mine taught me, know your heat, know your meat.
Right.
Now I cook mine pretty fast compared to some of my friends who cook cabrito. They like to cook it for like 6, 7, 8 hours, you know, and I'm like, that's too long for me, man. I want to eat.
You're hungry?
All right, that's ready, that's ready. So these are charred really nice. This adds an amazing flavor to the salsa. Beautiful char right there, serranos
smell
too.
of that.
And the amazing aroma, yes. But tomatoes, because they have so much moisture, they take a little while. You gotta catch them at that just right moment before they start to fall apart.
Yeah.
I'd say these habaneros are pretty good. I think the garlic's ready too.
All right. You know, I've never made a homemade salsa.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, you're gonna be really delighted today. I guarantee you're gonna love this. Tomatillos are ready. You know what we're missing? I like to have a little onion in there. It adds a little creaminess to it.
Onion right there.
Yeah, we want that to get roasty toasty as well. And I think those tomatoes are ready.
Yeah,
as
they
well.
look like they're pretty close,
Yeah,
huh?
they're ready,
You ready?
to go. Yep.
All right, here we go.
Do it. The cilantro didn't have to go on the fire. Obviously, it's gonna burn out,
Right.
right? But it will cook a little bit with the semi-hot
because
ingredient.
they're hot.
One habanero or two?
Why don't we try one and then taste it and see?
I think it's gonna be plenty hot.
Okay.
And so we're gonna drop the onion. And we're not gonna use all the garlic. We're gonna use 2 for this.
That's a lot of restraint. Garlic is my friend.
Oh, I love garlic. And if you love it as much as I do, we'll put one more.
There you go. All right.
Hand me that OG, please. Now you like garlic, we're gonna add a little bit more garlic here. I love the peppery taste. This is fresh cracked black pepper. I like to pulse a little bit, kind of get things moving. Do you like it chunky or smooth?
Chunky.
That's my flavor too. I'd say we're good right there. Man, look at the color, texture.
And the smell as it comes out.
The aroma's beautiful.
Oh my
Amazing.
goodness.
I like big chips like that.
That's what she said.
Cheers, amigo.
So good.
Dude, that is good. It's savory, not too salty, got a little bite, got a little tart.
And I like it warm like it is. Like, I don't know that I've ever had a hot salsa temperature-wise.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna do this at home.
In my cookbook, I have 20 salsa recipes.
I haven't even got to that section.
I'm gonna give you one of my cookbooks. It's got the brand new New York Times bestseller sticker on it. I'm gonna autograph it, and I want you to send me some pictures of salsa.
Oh, absolutely.
At home.
So by the way, like for the record, I bought what has to be one of the first ones because you posted
Oh, yeah.
the pre-order and I ordered it like within minutes. But it's used. Like I open it, so if you'll give me an autograph one, that'll
I
be
most certainly will.
a collector's edition.
I most certainly will.
Thank you,
Along
my
with the
friend.
camera crew, you guys are doing a great job.
Oh, all
Thanks,
right. These guys work out. And
Hey, they work. I know. I know what it is to be back there, don't we, Dan?
so should we give them a taste?
Yes.
This one's for you guys.
It was a tough, painful experience for Arnie. It was hard to let go. It was hard to move on from that phase in his life. The more time passed from there, I was able to kind of understand the type of emotional, financial, physical toll that loss took on him. And part of the way he bounced back from that was circling back around to barbecue comps. And so I started going to those competitions with him 2010, 11, 12, 13, and just spending time at the cook-off with him and my mom.
I had a good friend that had sponsored some of my cook-offs, and his brother also. And his brother said, hey, Arnie, I'm gonna build a big old trailer and let's go do some comps. You know, he knew I was kind of in a depressed state of mind still, but I mean, I didn't really show it to people. And so he built this big ass trailer, man, with grill in the back, smoker on the other side, and burners and roof. So we went and did several cook-offs. We didn't win, we didn't make any money, and he's like, I'm tapping out. He goes, I'm done. He goes, use the trailer, keep it, do whatever you want with it. We went to a cook-off, got a couple of walks, but I met a guy there that gave me a little insight about injections and brines and stuff I had not done before in the past. And I had been fairly successful at the cook-off world, but I went home and read a lot of chef forums, did a lot of research, did a lot of cooking and testing, went right back to the next cook-off with injected brisket and nabbed a first place at a really big event. And went home with like 6,000 bucks. And I was like, wow, man, this does make a difference. And so 2 weeks later, we won another big event and made about $5 grand. When I won those two events, I quit my job because I was like, I can do this.
Which is like crazy. Not many people do that. And it's absolutely this famine or feast type of environment. You might win, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 at a cook-off. You might spend $1,000 and come home empty-handed. But it takes someone who has that competitive spirit, that drive, that self-belief to go full-time competition barbecue.
You know, it's not stable. It's not, a regular paycheck, 9-to-5 job or whatnot. So I was kind of concerned at first for him and his family, but he was out there every, weekend or every time that he could. He was out there trying to make it work.
Was the competition circuit about your competitiveness, about winning, or was it without the restaurant, without your dad, this is a way for you to stay in touch with food?
I was already, had been a competitor, right? So it was something that I enjoyed doing, but it's more about the competitive spirit in you. When you go to a cook-off, you don't go there just to hang out. Now, some people do. For me, it wasn't that. It was about winning. I like to win. It was therapy for me, getting away from my problems and hanging out with some like-minded friends. They didn't really know what all had happened or what I had been through, but they were good friends, and it was just fun. Some people would take it really serious, like if they didn't win, they'd throw hissy fits, is that the right word? They'd kick stuff, they'd get mad at their team and scream and yell and take off burning rubber and shit. And I'd be like, dude, this is supposed to be fun, man. Not like that, right?
We went to, I can't remember what the competition was called, but it was cold, it was rainy, and it was nasty, and we had to sleep in the truck, and he won the beans, and he won fajitas and chicken, I think. I don't know if he won the reserve or the grand champion, but just knowing that he could win that felt pretty awesome, I thought it was pretty good, and he was happy, Terry was happy, we were all happy to be able to compete against the guys that were been doing it, for their careers.
It was very exciting. Seeing him win the few times I went, you're just like waiting to hear for that number, and then when his number would be called, it was just like exhilarating. It was wonderful, and it made us very proud for him.
And in 2013, we cooked 23 events and won 11 of them, and reserve granted like 5 of those. Some of my friends on the circuit started to call me Mr. Consistent. And so that was my moniker. So man, we were just on a roll, and I had built a little homemade trailer because we weren't making a lot of money, put a roof on it. It was just an old trailer my dad had. Rolled my pits on top, and we'd go cook. I'd put a little tarp, and we'd sleep in there. Me and Terry would sleep in there. Man, we won all over the valley.
2014, I first came across a man by the name of Arnie Segovia. I was a youth pastor. I began a barbecue, and we weren't very good. We were winning in certain categories, but Arnie was the name. And I said, man, I want to hit in the big categories. I don't want to hit beans and fajitas. I remember him giving me one tip, and that's, I think, what made the difference. He says, if people would just listen, they'd pick up a lot of gold nuggets. And that's what I did.
And like any competitive sport, there's always going to be whiners and complainers, right? And people accusing, oh, you know the judge, and this and that, the other. So I was so mad. This now 2015, I told Terry, you know, I'm not into clicks. I'm cooking for fun. So we decided to cook out of the valley. We went to San Antonio and won. Went to Lubbock and won. Went to Houston and won. Went to DFW and came in 3rd overall. We didn't win, but we were close. So then I'd make a joke out of it. Now what? I don't even know the judges. I don't know anybody up here, so now what? All right, so what I like to do with my chicken, I like to do a little 2 layers, right?
Okay.
And so I'm gonna take a little bit of OG because it has plenty of salt.
Right.
And I like to pull back the skin. And then we're gonna take a little bit of Boom because this has the 16 mesh pepper.
Okay.
And it has just a hint of cayenne and some other savory ingredients. You know, if I'm taking all my time during the day or whatever, I might let them sit a while before I flip them, about 5 minutes.
Getting underneath the wing there.
Yes, sir. Now there is a little trick that I sometimes like to pull, and kind of pull that back right here.
There you go.
A little bit more OG on here, and the Boom puts a pretty color.
Yeah.
And the little speckled pepper on there. I love the way that looks.
Yep.
I'm gonna go lay these on the grill.
So you've got flame over here on our left and empty on the right.
A little empty on the right. Now if you put your hand out there right, it's extremely hot still.
Yeah.
Because you know you can run the leg quarter up to 180, 200 degrees and it's still
It's
good.
still gonna be fine.
So I like to lay it down with the leg quarter toward the heat source.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Now next up, we want to show you our South Texas loaded ribs. They're amazing. So let's go season those up and we'll get them over here on the direct fire first.
Perfect.
I think the most cook-offs Arnie ever did in a year was somewhere around 40, 45 cook-offs. You know, you miss birthday parties, you miss events, you miss weddings, you miss quinceañeras, but you're chasing this dream. You're trying to also pay your bills day to day. At a certain point, he started offering competition classes, and those are like the early seeds of ArnieTex, where he's hosting 30 people at a time, giving away his secrets, teaching them the tricks of the trade, helping enrich that competition community.
I had been to a couple of classes that were not nowhere near what I was doing already. And when people started asking me to do classes, I was like, man, I don't know, you know. But when I started to look at the numbers and, you know, I was like, nobody wins forever, right? That's in every sport. So we did that all of 2017. We were cooking less and teaching more. And a lot of our alumni started to win. This was something that happens to most competitors that start teaching. It's like you give your mojo away. All of a sudden you can't win anymore for whatever reason.
I remember our first GC was in Edinburgh, not too far away from here. We GC'd that and Arnie was there. Us beating him, I mean, Arnie was obviously proud. How do you feel beating the guy that had a lot of influence in your cooking? I mean, I don't know, it's an honor, it's a privilege, it's a wow. I mean, I don't know.
And again, you know, life always has its little twists and turns. In 2018, Terry was diagnosed with breast cancer. Something a lot of people didn't know until it was all said and done. In this sense, I am gonna say there was a lot of pride on my side. You know, most people do fundraisers and stuff, and we could have definitely used some extra money for that. Fortunately, we had health insurance, right? But they don't pay for everything. So a lot of our money went to get her through her treatments, but I can say that we never asked for help from anybody. You know, that was the pride I had. Like, I'm not gonna ask for help. I'm just a proud Mexican. I guess, I don't know, right?
So you just put your head down and work harder?
Yeah, and so we just went through that for a year, got her through that.
I've never seen it cut like this before, but I mean, it makes sense that these would be better than flanking. They're thicker and they're incredibly well marbled.
Yes. I like to put wow because it is a grilling spice and they're gonna go directly over the fire first. Now, I like to keep all the bones on the same side so I know where I'm at. If I flip one, I flip them all. Because sometimes, you know, when you're, especially if you're doing this, you know, it's like, okay, did I flip that one or not? I don't remember because the bones are all different.
So technically, is it a flippity flip if it's not over fire?
Man, you can flippity flip anything. I flippity flip my over easies too.
There you go. A little bit lighter on this side?
Yeah, a little bit, it's good. Because we're gonna throw some more boom on these as well. The boom adds another little element of flavor. Because the cayenne and the peppers in there, it says, hello, just to let you know I'm here. That's it. So we're gonna pat that down and we're gonna go get those on the grill. Right about there. Keep the bone the same side on each of them.
All right, so bone is facing away from us now.
There we go. All right, so we're just gonna let those sit there maybe about 3 or 4 minutes.
Now, as I'm turning them, I would take outside to inside, inside to outside. Do you do the same rotation?
That's fine.
Or
definitely you want to trade
rotate?
places. Yes, yes, because it's always hotter in the center.
Right.
Now, it's only been like about 2 minutes, but you can see they're starting to sweat on top through the bone. We got a flippity flip.
All right. And I'm gonna keep the bone over there.
Look at that, beautiful.
So nice. And then I'm gonna do the opposite here. I'm gonna come from the outside in.
Heck, I'm getting schooled here.
There you go, you know. I mean, I do know a couple things about cooking. I've screwed up enough meals to have learned from my mistakes and be able to make good ones.
And that's a really good point out to share with the audience. Don't be afraid to go out there and make a few mistakes, right? Yeah. You're not gonna learn, and none of us actually did it perfect the first time, right?
Right.
I mean, I burned a lot of chicken before I made a really good chicken, so it's all good. We'll give it a couple of minutes and then we'll flip it again. But how about we throw a couple of sausages on here so we can just kind of get a quick snack?
Okay, fine.
Let's do it.
All right, so you do the cilantro sausage?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll throw that on there.
All right.
That's really good. I would just lay them like right here.
Okay.
It's not super hot, it's a little bit hot. And those will cook really quick.
So I do the same thing that you do with the bones. I always face the sausages the same way so I know
Yes,
whether I turn
me
them or
too.
not.
Absolutely right.
All right, and then we'll move these over there.
Yeah, our ribs are sweating quite a bit. You're getting a nice char, so you want to get them away from the super hot direct heat.
Now, are we taking these past well done into 200-degree territory like we would a dino rib?
Normally, when I want to do that, I'll wrap them in foil and get them all the way to super tender. And that's one of the things that a lot of people do. They like undercook them, and then they're like really tough because it's still a tough dino rib. You know, if you don't cook it to doneness, then it's still going to be a tough cut of meat. So I want to see them where they got a little char. When they shrink down a little bit, you'll see the bone start to pop out. That's when they're perfect.
Okay, so we'll let those go for a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you remember before the start of the NBA season, I partnered up with DraftKings Pick6? Well, guess what? I've teamed up with DraftKings Pick6 for this episode too, because the timing couldn't be better. We're a couple weeks out from the Super Bowl, which means that this is the part of the season where everyone suddenly becomes very confident in their opinions. You know what I'm talking about? People who haven't watched a full game all year are now explaining to you exactly what's going to happen. If you've been paying attention like I have, this is where DraftKings Pick6 gets really fun. See, Pick6 is a daily fantasy sports app where you predict the performance of individual players. You know, things like more or less on stats, more yards, fewer yards, more points, more touchdowns, and you can put together a pick set across multiple upcoming games or just on one game like the Super Bowl. No drafts, no season-long commitment, you just make your picks and you ride the upside. Now, what I like about Pick6 is that it actually rewards watching the games. If you've noticed trends, you follow the storylines, you caught yourself saying, yeah, I feel pretty good about that matchup, then Pick6 gives you a simple way to act on all of that. And right now, DraftKings has a great offer for my viewers. See, new DraftKings customers, you play $5 or more and you get $50 in Pick6 credits. All you got to do is download the DraftKings Pick6 app from the App Store or Google Play and sign up using my promo code BehindTheFood. So when you make your first pick set and you play $5 or more, you get $50 in Pick6 credits to use whether you win or lose. Again, that's promo code Behind the Food. Thanks again to DraftKings Pick6 for sponsoring this video, especially at this perfect moment in the season. All right, let's get back to Arnie.
Dan and I put our heads together, started to make that class. We got halfway done. He moved to San Antonio to work for a big marketing firm. So I had to learn how to use cameras. And so Terry and I started to record, you know, kind of not the greatest video, but they worked. And we finished the class. It took us about a whole year to put the whole class together. Made us 50 grand. And we had already made some pretty good money with the in-person classes. So we were in a good spot at that point.
2020 starts, Austin Rodeo, 2nd place overall. San Antonio Rodeo, 3rd place this. So it's like, oh man, what a stride.
It's a high. You get high when they call your name and you're walking up to the stage.
And then we all know what happens in March 2020. The world shuts down. Back at home.
We all had to stay home. We all had to be careful, and it was hard, you know, for him because he couldn't get out there and do what he loved.
I was like, all right, we're just gonna cook and eat, you know? We can't go nowhere, nobody can do anything, so we'd go get groceries and come cook.
So it went from like, I'm traveling, I'm moving, things are changing, to just total lockdown. And it's like, what do we do? What are we gonna do?
So you're going to the outside. Oh,
Ooh, look at that.
Look at that.
That's a money shot right there.
Yeah, I love it.
Beautiful. Now you notice the bones kind of starting to pull back a little bit on them? Yeah,
We're getting close, aren't we?
Ooh, look at that.
Look at that. You sure I can't eat this yet?
We're very close. We're very, very close.
All right, let's get this in here.
I would say that sausage is ready, and I would wrap these ribs in some foil and just kind of let them marinate over there so we can throw the fajitas on top.
Yes, please. Get a little food in our stomach so we can drink more beer.
Right on, right on.
All right.
Beautiful little color, look at that.
So this is kind of my sausage routine.
Yes, sir. What you call it? On the bias?
On the bias.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Dale.
I'm going for this one. Which one are you going for?
Yeah, I'll go for any of them, man. It's all good.
Cheers. That's really good.
That's good.
The cilantro is subtle.
So then we're gonna get a chip, put a little bit of salsa on your favorite piece here.
Let's take this one.
Mm-hmm. Take a big old bite. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bet you never had that before.
That should be illegal. All right, pardon me. I know this is you, but boom.
Boom. All right, Al, we've got these ribs right out of the fire. This is the way we normally cut them, like this.
Okay.
In between the bones. And then you just have a nice little bite to get.
All right, I'll
get
take
you one
this
of those. Cheers.
Cheers.
Give it a taste test.
Oh, that's delicious. The salt stayed on the surface, probably because we got them on the heat so fast. It's the first thing on the tongue and then the meat.
Mm-hmm.
No, I will like literally pick this. I know it's membrane and fat, but I will literally pick off the bone.
I'm with you.
In 2019, I moved to San Antonio. So I'm experiencing a lockdown 4 hours away from Arnie. At the same time, we're having, weekly meetings. How's it going? Good, we're here, right? Okay, cool. What are we gonna do with ArnieTex? I don't know, right? At that time, Facebook Live was kind of picking up steam. I'm like, dude, just go live. And he's just going live on Facebook. I'm like, dude, let it run. We're doing 20, 30 minute, an hour long lives. He's just rolling the Blackstone out right here. All right, I'm cooking fajitas, Okay, I'm putting the salsa out. Terry, where's the blender? Making a taco, boom, And so what I saw is him not miss a step, right? What am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna start recording YouTube videos. I'm gonna learn how to use cameras. I'm gonna build a company.
Do you remember the first time you saw him on the internet?
Oh, yes. I think it was a video that we both made. I remember he says, Mom, let's make barbecue tamales. Why barbecue tamales? What do you mean barbecue tamales? Out of brisket. And he said, yeah, let's try it. Because he's always willing to try new things, new cooking, new spices to make it better. I mean, I never imagined it. me being in there.
You were a superstar after that, right?
I guess, I don't know.
Now you're a celebrity. When you started making those videos, do you think he knew that he was going to build an internet business?
I don't think he knew that. No, I think he just wanted to do stuff, you know, and put it on a video because it looked good, but because he loved it too.
And when he told me that him and Danny were putting together videos, I was just kind of like, man, I don't know if that's gonna work, dude. Like, it's kind of a hard thing to break into kind of deal, right? Like, and he goes, man, it'll work. I know it'll work. Danny says it'll work. And I thought, like, you know, make cooking videos for a living, you know, like you have to get hundreds and millions of views to get some kind of revenue out of it, right? And boy, I was wrong. If anybody could do it, it was him because he has that personality, you know. He's got that bring you in ArnieTex thing, you know, what he is now, right? Like, he's funny, he's witty, he can draw people into him, you know, and that's pretty awesome.
Sometimes things just come at the right time for a person, you know, and they just ran with it and it exploded. But I feel like you have to love what you're doing, you have to have the heart for it, and that's what makes you successful.
It's a surreal thing to have a celebrity brother, you know, like it's like pitch myself kind of thing, right? Because, I mean, you think of people that ask for autographs, you know, it's movie stars and superstars and stuff like that, you know, and he's just a humble dude, you know, that I grew up with, my big brother. To see that, it puts everything into perspective, the hard work, the dedication, the never giving up attitude.
So the restaurant, you connected with people. The competition circuit, you connected with people. The training, you connected with people.
Right on.
Did you realize that at that time, that was what it meant? That it was going to give you that peace?
I mean, you know, you say connected. It's not a what we called in sales belly to belly connected. We're not face to face, right? But I don't feel any different, honestly, with my online crowd. I feel like they're family in a way. And so I'm very much as I possibly could from the beginning to monitor comments, answer questions, answer emails. And at this point in time, it's gotten to be a big monster where it's very, very difficult to do. I want to say I probably still answer 90% of the comments, and it's just, it consumes some of my evenings, some of my mornings, but I know some still slip through the cracks, you know. And people are funny, you know, they can be a big fan, and if you don't answer them, they literally will unfollow you. It's one of those things you have to accept that you just can't do it all.
Right.
But I feel like I still connect with them in that way as much as possible. So now we're ready to get them right over a little more heat. Right over.
So we're not even turning them over, we're
Not yet.
just moving them over the direct
Move
heat.
them over for a little bit. I added a little extra wood and coal, so we've got a pretty hot fire. We're not gonna lower the grate down just yet. We're gonna let them get a little bit more heat, then we'll give them a little flip.
Okay.
All right,
What's next? Boneless chicken thighs.
Okay.
These are a big hit anytime there's a carne asada, a barbecue, a backyard party, because they're super moist, they're super marbled. You can overcook them and they're still gonna be wonderful.
Right.
I like to get the natural flavor of the meat accentuated with a little bit of OG first, which is your salt, pepper, garlic. We want that salt in there, right? It's all in the wrist.
Title of your sex tape.
Then we're gonna put a little bit of wow on top of that. Now, pro tip, you already got this in your hand. You don't need to start with the OG again. You got this in your hand.
Okay, so it doesn't matter which order we put them on.
Doesn't matter the order. The salt's gonna cut through everything anyway and bring the moisture and the flavor out. And a little bit of OG, baby. You can just season them all at one time. Like, come a little higher, and you're done.
Strong wrists.
And let's see if the camera can catch this. You can see here, they're getting a little more color now. Chicken's up to temp where we can actually finish cooking it.
Oh, that's pretty.
So we're gonna lay that
I
right
thought they were going to be
here.
a lot more charred.
Not yet, but see, we're a little bit high, so we're good on that.
The beauty of the Santa Maria.
Again, we want the thigh, the leg quarter, facing the heat, which is more heat over here, so I'm gonna bring this one over this way. Those we want right over the fire, so I'm gonna use my glove for these and lay them right there, that side down. We've got chicken thighs going now. Those are gonna be about 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
We talked to Dan, he was up in San Antonio and then later in Austin. And he's like, Dad, you always want to sell your spices. why don't you work on that now while you have time? And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Another great idea from Dan. And so Terry and I had a blend that I used in competition that I would mix all this stuff, right? That became the wow 5 months later. We did a lot of testing, a lot of cooking during that time.
He said, we want to come up with the perfect spice so we can start selling spices. And I'm like, oh my God. And I would see him every day here in the kitchen. Every day he mixing and remixing and trying. No, I don't like this one. Mom, try it. And he'd give me a little bit, no.
And everybody that I sent the sample to had a comment, and their main comment was, there's a little wow in there, and every single person said that. And so I told Terry and Dan, I said, we're gonna call it wow.
Things were very tactical because we had to be super lean, super mean. Whatever little money we had to be really wise with it. It's a significant investment, right? It's a significant risk.
So we launched with a pallet, which was about 126 cases times 12, whatever that is.
Was there ever a doubt? Did you ever think maybe you were being reckless, putting all the marbles in something that big?
I'm gonna say not reckless. I'm more of an entrepreneurial spirit. I've had a lot of other little business ventures that I've done over the years. So I would say I have that I'm not scared spirit. I believe in myself, I'm confident, I think we can do this. So I would say it's more like a risk taker. So I told Terry, we're gonna sell it in about 90 days. If we can do it in 90 days, we'll be okay.
So, placed the order, the pallet showed up, made the post on Facebook, talked about it on YouTube. It was sold out in 3 or 4 days.
So I was like, okay, we're on the right track. But the challenge still remained because we were in COVID. Everything was in shortage. It took us 60 days to replace that, more or less, maybe closer to 90. Because first there was no shakers, then there was no labels, then there was shakers and labels, but there was no caps. It was a challenge, and but finally we got back on track, and I said, you know what, we're never gonna run out again. So I ordered like 6 pallets.
I see sizzle down here, and they're not sticking, so does that mean?
That means just flippity flip time?
Flip time?
Ooh, look at that gorgeous color. It's time to flip these too.
Keeping the
Ooh,
dark meat.
look at all that juice
Man.
dropping down there. We'll check the breast right here, 131.
Yeah.
Not there, we're not there. We're gonna let these ride a little bit longer.
All right, so you make the call. I would turn it sideways.
I agree with you. I would turn it backbone towards the heat along with the drumstick. That way we don't dry out the breast.
Oh, okay.
Like that.
Sorry if I'm sticking my elbow in your face there.
Now we had it on the skin side for 10, 15 minutes. That tells me we can take a little more heat than what we had. So I'm gonna lower this down a couple of clicks. A little bit closer to the fire, right there. Now we're talking. We're almost ready for fajita time.
Dude, how are you still going? Like,
this is what I do, man.
the sun's been down for 4 hours.
Maybe we need a little more heat in here.
Or more beer.
Now that always works. Cheers. That's some good stuff, man.
I can go another couple hours now.
Just depends on the angle of the dangle.
There we go.
You got it, buddy.
Title of my sex tape. That
Look at
is
that.
a perfectly cooked.
Look at that juice, and
Look
there's
at that.
moist, very moist.
Hang on, I'm gonna get this for you here. There we go. Okay, I want
Get your piece.
this piece.
And I'll get the one right next to that. Good
Look at
call.
That. Look at that.
Whew.
Hot. Cheers.
Oh, baby. Mmm.
It's not moist. It's juicy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a guy who always brines my chicken because I really want the salt into the middle, and so I was kind of hesitant that you didn't do that. You didn't need to do that.
Nope. Now, I'm with you. I normally will season ahead of time, but because we're making a video today, it's like, okay, let's just throw them in and let's keep going. But
Yeah.
even then, delicious.
You ready to get in there and get some salsa?
Let's go, baby.
Take a piece of chicken. There we
one
go.
right
Put
there.
one on there for you.
Right on. Let's
All
do it.
right, we ready?
Cheers.
Cheers. So we're gonna bottle this and call it Arnie's Miracle Salsa.
The tart kind of goes with the chicken, in my opinion.
But I think I would probably, I'd do that in a taco. Haha.
Did somebody say taco?
All right, are these the corn tortillas that we got this
Yes,
morning?
sir. Freshly ground corn tortillas.
Okay. I don't think I'm gonna put salsa on this one.
You don't have to.
All right.
And I'll take one of these. One of these
Here we go.
delicious
Let's see.
corn tortillas. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, that's the way.
Dude. Can you taste the corn? Like that fresh ground corn?
And the juicy chicken with the dry corn tortilla, it's a texture, but the flavor of the corn, I think, is better with the chicken than the salsa.
I
It's
agree.
still Arnie's miracle salsa, but.
I could do it either way.
So you and I have something in common in that when I interview people, they tend to cry. When you meet people to sign their books, they do the same thing.
Yeah, we've had a few.
Why is that?
I don't think it's so much me. I think it's the memories that we jar in their heart, because we put the book out there, right, and the recipes. And so I get the messages like, hey, we made your recipe, we love it, it's great. Dude, we do this twice a week now. And you talked about the connection earlier. You know, I feel connected with that, but it was totally different when I was in front of them in person and they're telling me, my grandma died last year and she shared these recipes you have in your book. Those were the recipes my grandma made. And that right there, dude, that'll humble you quick, real quick. Yeah.
So I was raised in a way where everybody has always celebrated Arnie's food. So when I see people come up to him and they're like, thank you so much for that recipe. Thank you for that fajita marinade. I love your mom's rice seasoning. I'm like, yeah, like those are stories I've heard my whole life from 4th grade when my first friends started coming over to the barbecue, you know? So now that Arnie is like New York Times bestseller, right? 1 million subs on YouTube, all that good stuff. I'm seeing this immense validation. I'm seeing something that I've seen my whole life on a much bigger scale. And it's one thing to have my friends come over and be like, bro, those fajitas were so good. But it's another thing for us to be on the book tour. And I'm seeing people come up to him crying because they're reconnecting with lost family members. So the impact that it's having, the connections that are being made, it's suddenly so much deeper than, oh, dude, that pico, delicious. Fajitas, awesome. It's like, I remember my grandma. I remember the recipes. I love my family. I can't wait to share this with my family.
It's not just their memories, but it also, when they're sharing, telling me that, it reminds me where I came from too. And these were a lot of the recipes that I grew up with. Not all of them, but most of them. And so it's that connection. It's the food. The food connects us, you know, and the memories.
Is there a responsibility that comes with that?
I'd say yes. It kind of hammers home, drills it into you a little bit more that what you share should be real. And I've never like just done it for show or to be a show off or to say I'm better than you. It's always been about like, I want you to enjoy this. I want you to be happy. I like to see the smiles. That's been my thing when I cooked since day one, forever.
All right, I'm happy here.
Yeah, well,
I'm
they're
happy
good.
at
They're good
150
there.
over here,
Yep.
180 over there.
Yep.
These are
Yeah.
ready.
Get them on here, Papa.
There we go.
They're good.
There you go, senor.
All right, Al. You just had a really amazing boneless chicken thigh.
Yes.
That's gonna be a hard act to follow.
Right.
But one of the things that I love to cook here in South Texas, and it's kind of a traditional thing, is chicken halves.
All right, so let's,
Perfect.
How many guys you know that can do that in one shot, huh?
Not too many.
We're gonna go for breast first.
The breast on chicken halves is my favorite
Really?
part. Absolutely, yes, sir.
All right, here we go.
Oh,
look at that.
beautiful bird.
Look at that. So we got a grain running this way. So we're gonna come across here. All right. I'm going for this pretty piece.
I like this one here. Cheers. Dude.
I don't get it. You didn't brine it.
Yeah, you were with me.
It's really your rub that's the balance, or just knowing how far to keep it from the fire?
I think it's a little combination of both. You know, you got to bring it up to temp, let it get nice and warm all the way through, warm and fuzzy. Then you put the heat on it, finish cooking it, And so you've got juicy, moist, and flavorful chicken.
Dark meat.
Let's give it a try.
All right, hit the joint again
Órale.
for the record.
Perfect. Show them the joint. See how it's perfectly cooked?
Yeah.
And it's still perfectly juicy. Now flip that over. This is the best part right here. That part right there, it was right over the fire. Take a taste of that and tell me what you think. A little crispy.
You know, I don't know. I probably need to taste again to know for sure.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Should we get those fajitas cracking?
I think we should.
All right, let's
do it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Arnie puts it all out there for everybody to see. He's got a heart bigger than Texas, you know. And I think everybody pretty much knows that from his videos.
What we see on the video, is that really who he is?
Absolutely. There's no different from when he's in front of this camera to when he steps out of it.
So he's not putting on an act for us?
It's not an act.
I mean, he can't really be as nice as he comes across on camera, can he?
Yeah, he is. He really is. We're brother and sister. He's very nice. He's kind and sharing. He's a really good guy.
I agree with you, by the way.
Good.
So, last question and probably the hardest.
Uh-oh.
It's all right.
Uh-oh. Sheesh. You're tough, man. You're tough.
I don't make people cry at Barnes & Noble. So you and I are of an age where we start to think about these things.
Mm-hmm.
What's your epitaph? What do you want him to say about you when you're gone?
When we're gone, I want him to say good things, you know, just that he was a good person. Who doesn't want that, you know? That he was a good teacher, that he was a good mentor, that he was a good father to his children and a good husband to his wife, a good son to his mom, a good brother. And hopefully an inspiration to everybody in social media land now that we are in social media, you know.
All right. I don't know if I'm gonna make this whole can I keep up with Arnie thing, but this is the last thing we're cooking.
Yep.
And this cooked quick, you said, right?
They're quick. They're about 5 or 7 minutes. Let's lay these on the grill.
Okay. So that one's above that.
Let's cook some fajitas. Oh, yeah, I love that sound, baby. This one was really long, so we're gonna kind of fold it over. It's okay.
There we go.
Looking at the meat here around the edges, you're getting that little brown color there. I think it's time to flip, Al.
Flippity flip.
Vámonos, flippity flip, baby. Look at that.
I mean, I'm feeling like this might be worth having worked for this many hours.
Look at that.
All right.
Now these are the Margarita marinated fajitas. We're gonna see how they turned out today. That looks like it's gonna get overcooked unless you take a bite out of it.
You gotta do what you gotta do. I don't know, what do you think?
Let's see. I can taste the mezcal.
I can taste the mezcal. I don't taste the lime.
Not as much.
I taste a little bit of orange.
I think it needs that little salt. We'll do it on this flip. We'll shake a little OG on there because it's got that salt, pepper, garlic flavor. When we flip it again, we'll season one more time. Now, you know, it's always easy to add a little extra salt at the end.
Right.
But if you blow it and put it all on the front end, you're done.
Right.
Not even your dog's gonna want it. To me, the juices are looking clear already. I'd say these are done. I'm gonna flip them one more time, and then we'll pull them off. All right, let's drop a little more OG on the just a slight shake. And we're good. All right, last piece coming off. This should be a perfect medium rare, medium to medium rare. Let's go over there and get a knife.
Got a big old pile of meat.
Let the meat rest a little bit.
I hate resting meat. It's not fair.
It's not really necessary, right?
I mean, it is.
Depends on who you ask. I usually do at least 5 minutes.
Okay.
I don't believe in that like 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, it's freaking cold by then.
Yeah.
All right.
So you want to give the lesson on how to slice, or you want me to?
I'll let you do it.
All right. If you've watched any cooking shows about meat, you know last cut's always against the grain. So where the grain's going this way, You can't slice this way because then you're gonna have long fibers that your teeth have to cut through.
You're talking right.
So when I'm cutting, I'm coming across, and then my final cuts are gonna be this way.
You the man. So let's take this nice, fat, juicy part right here. I don't know. We might overcook that just a hair.
Just a hair.
Is it okay?
I'm not sending it back. All right, so now we're cutting against the grain.
Against the grain here.
All right, hang on, before you finish it, just cut me one piece the wrong way.
Okay.
All right, so a properly cut one, notice how that's coming apart in my hands. 2 fingers, it comes apart. Look how easy that's gonna be. If you try doing that with this, where it's the long way, you literally can't pull it apart because it's hanging on, right?
You gotta pull hard.
Yeah, so do you want your teeth cutting through that, or do you want your teeth cutting through this? I want my teeth cutting through this.
Cheers.
All right, it's good, Arnie.
The tenderness, the texture, that's all there. It's good. I probably need to put more wow in the marinade.
Yeah.
To give it that savory.
Yeah.
So we're gonna up it another 2 tablespoons.
All right, so now I gotta wait until you publish your video to know how this turns out and how to do
exactly
it right.
right.
All right, so good news. That video is dropping tomorrow. You only gotta wait 24 hours. And if you waited 24 hours to watch this one, it's out right now. So look right here. If you see the thumbnail for it, it's out. If you don't see the thumbnail for it, then go down here because that's gonna be the link to Arnie's channel. And then you can check that out and you can see it when it drops in the morning. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
Boom!